has been an interesting. I'm trying to learn the whole YouTube, the whole live streaming from Zoom into YouTube. So if you saw me yesterday, you actually saw me like drinking my water. I thought there was a 20-second delay. That's what I thought. So I was like waiting for something to. I'm like really grateful I didn't pick my nose. Like hold on, let me just see if there are any bats in the cave. Um, I am Jen Sugarmeyer. Hold on, it helps when we have our microphone. I am Jen Sugarmeyer. I am your host of Mindset in the Morning, and we are here live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. But because this is YouTube, you can join whenever you would like. But the intention is just that, is to get intentional about our days, to get intentional about our lives, and to start off the day on the right foot, which is a whatever foot you want it to be on. But I know you, and you want it to be a powerful one. And one of my favorite quotes is by Zig Ziglar. I say this a lot. If you aim at nothing, you hit your target every time. And the truth is, we are the only ones that control our lives. We're the only ones that are responsible for our happiness, for what happens in our life, and our mindset, and is so critical to all of these things. And so it's just such an amazing life that we can lead, and I want every single one of us to be leading our lives. And the truth is, and this really goes into the topic we're going to be talking about today, is that life can take us by storm. 100% life can just hit us at any time. So we could be going down a really good path, and then all of a sudden smack, and we have to pivot, or that it shakes us up. There's something that happens in our life. And so today we're going to be talking about mental health and why we need to put ourselves first. And we're going to be talking about the incredible Simone Biles. So, but first, I would love if you would like, and if you would subscribe. That helps spread the message. And our goal is to reach 5 million women over the next few years, because we want to build a community, and we want people to get intentional about their minds, and for them to just feel empowered. So the more likes, the more subscribes that we have, the more we are able to reach. I don't make the algorithm. That's all YouTube. I'm just following the rules. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time in advance, and for your subscribe. That's all it is. Like, just hit it. Just hit it. So Simone Biles. So this woman, born in 1997, which makes me feel super old. Like, she could be my daughter. Like, if we actually did the math, she could be my daughter, which is crazy. I remember I had a friend of mine in high school, and she had a kid when she was 14, or she got pregnant when she was 14 or something like that. And like, I think about it and I'm like, man, she's got like she could be a grandma. I could be a grandma. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, I have these moments where I just think, holy crap. Woo, you make me feel old. Anyway, so super young. And this woman is super accomplished. I mean, this is, I don't know. I know she was in the 2016, I think the 2020. I saw something that said about 2020, but I don't remember any 2020 Olympics. But anyway, now she's in the Olympics now. She's got a bunch of medals. Just this fireball. And when you see her, she's just got this incredibly beautiful smile. I mean, it's like ear to ear. She's got these gorgeous teeth. I mean, like, just looking at her, you're just happy. And she's over in Tokyo right now. The Olympics are going on. And yeah, she decided to stop. She decided to put a pause, step out, and put her mental health first. And I think, wow, this woman is 24 years old, I think, 24 years old. And she's done something that so many of us are afraid to raise our hands and do, and that's stand up for our mental health. And I worked in corporate for 15 years. And one of the areas that I struggled with the most was this idea around mental health. And I always thought we needed mental health days, because there were some days that it was just like, it was like pounding in my head, or I was going through some stuff. And I didn't I didn't have any symptoms. It wasn't that my nose was running or I had a cough or anything. I really just needed to stay home and take care of myself, but I didn't. And I pushed through, and I would come into the office. And the truth is, I was afraid that if I said something, that I was going to lose my job. And this was a pressure that I put on myself. There was no one that said, Jen, if you take a mental health day, you're going to lose your job. So let me just be clear that this wasn't any of the companies that I worked for saying, hey, if you take a day, then you're going to lose your job. That was my translation of the situation. And a lot of times we buy into the shame, the stigma, the norm, and how things should be or not be. And that's absolutely what I had done. And so I never took a mental health day. I just continued to press through. And I'll tell you what, I was never at my best when I was dealing with things. I mean, it doesn't mean that I wasn't present in the office. It doesn't mean that I wasn't getting my work done. But when you have things that you're dealing with, you are not at your most peace. You are not in your best flow. You don't have the most clarity, like, because there are other things that are consuming your energy. That's just how it is. So it is so important for us to be taking care of our mental health. And I look at this woman who was 24 years old and I think, man, congratulations for standing up, because and maybe it's a generational thing, maybe the generation of these days. And I would love to know, I'd love for you to email me at higherandheels at gmail.com. You can also go to higherandheels.com. That's the name of the company. Higherandheels.com, and you can contact me that way. And if you have kids, or if maybe you're, and I say kids, yeah, I mean, kids can be anything. In my mind, that's like younger than 35. So if you are millennial generation or down, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on mental health. And if that's something that you feel comfortable with saying, hey, I need a mental health day or not, because I know with my generation, there was just a lot more stigma around it. I didn't feel that I could say, hey, I need to take a mental health day. I had worked really hard to become a senior director, and I was in a male dominated industry. And it was, I didn't want them to then look at me and say, well, but you have mental health stuff going on. You need a day. Oh, you're a wuss. I didn't want them to think that I couldn't handle the pressure, or I couldn't handle taking care of a team, or I couldn't do any of these things. I didn't want that. And so I just pushed through it. I just pushed through it. And thank goodness I came out on the other end okay. But I really went through a lot. And what I went through in those years, I wouldn't wish on anyone. My story is that, I'm in recovery, and I went through my whole recovery process while going into the office every day, which was holy smokes. I mean, so I was, weaning myself off alcohol while going into the office every day. And it was like I wasn't sleeping, and my head was all over the place. And so, yeah, I was still present. I was still doing my job. But I know, looking back, I could see that for like 4 months, I was really foggy. I was like, I was not remembering a lot of things. I was going through detox. I was, my mind was remapping itself, and there were things legitimately that my body was going through. And I went into the office. Now, I'm going to put a little asterisk caveat, because there is a difference. There is a fine line. And I don't know. I can't, there's so many ways that you can look at this. There's so many, variables that go into the situation. But but there are things that legitimately, like, I don't want to do, but I have to. And there is that line, and only you can decide what that is. know like, for example, I don't know why this just popped into my head. So sometimes when I'm checking out in the grocery store, or when I'm buying something, they're like, so it's your total is $53, is that okay? And every time they ask me, like, is that okay, I'm like, do I have a choice? Because if I do, then I'm going to say no. like, do we get to barter here? Like, can I negotiate the price down? What do you mean? Is that okay? No, I don't want to pay for any of this, but I have to. you know, like I love that question. It always throws me off. I'm like, yeah, no, that's a great total. I thank you. Thank you for that total. I mean, I don't, it's just a weird question. Why do people ask you that when you're checking out? Like, is that total okay? No, of course it's not okay. I don't pay anything for these things, but I have to, right? Like my bills, I legit don't want to pay those. Or, I mean, and I'm being silly here, but there are just what I'm saying is yes, no, there are things that I don't want to do, but yes, there are things that I have to. And so I can't just show up every single day and say, these are the things that I want to do, and these are the things that I don't want to do. And because I don't want to do them, I'm going to say that my mental health says no. And so I'm making light of this situation, but I'm really trying to drive the point in that there are responsibilities that you have as a human being. And I can't tell you to pay your bills or not to pay your bills or to pay your taxes or to not pay your taxes or whatever, which you should always pay your taxes. I am telling you that that's something that you should do. But if you are going to say, hey, look, this is, I'm going through a really tough time and whatever, like you need to work through all of that. And every decision that you make, there may be, repercussions. If you say my mental health is really bad, I need to steal all of these items. Okay, well then there could be ramifications for that behavior. But do you have the flexibility to take 4 months off work to get, to take care of up here? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like for you. And there is no one way of handling these situations. But is it maybe you have the weekends and you say, okay, you know what, weekends, this is the time that I'm really going to use to focus on myself. This is the time that I'm going to take care of me. Maybe you say, okay, look, work, you get from 9 to 5. That's it. After work, I shut that email off and I don't look at it until I walk back into that office. And you start to put boundaries around what your responsibilities are, and so that it's not just bleeding into your life in all areas, because we need our own time. We cannot continue to just give our time. I am so proud of Simone. Think about how much training goes into going to the Olympics. I mean, this is her whole life. It's not that she works in that grocery store asking Jen Sugarmeyer, hey, is this price okay? Is $53 okay? And then like on the weekend, she just goes to Tokyo, you know? No way. This is her entire life. She's trained for this. In fact, so I have a podcast. It's called Level Up to 2.0, and I'll be releasing the episode soon. I interviewed Kelly Gunther, and Kelly is incredible. She's another one of these that I'm just blown away. Just these women that are so tenacious and just doing things and taking care of themselves. And I'm so excited for that one. But these Olympians, it was like being around Kelly and talking to her, I was so inspired because of their dedication that they have, not just to the sport, but also to themselves. And could you imagine that you've trained? This is your job. This is your job. And you get to the place that so many people dream about. How many people are dreaming about going to the Olympics? Like you watch these figure skaters and they just fly in the air and you're like, I want that. I want to wear those pretty dresses and fly in the air and do all the things. And the truth is, like less than 1% of the people get to the Olympics because it's a very elite, and the dedication and the time and the money and all of that goes into it. So not everybody's going to make it. And she's there. And as she is going in the air, she gets the twisties, which is like her mind, because you got to think about there's timing. You go up in the air and you got to think about how many twists it is that you're going to do, or how many twists you can do with your body, and then land on your feet. Because you want to land on your feet. You don't want to land on your head. You don't want to land on your back. You don't want to land, you got to land on your feet. And not only that, but the judges are looking at you and like, did you stop? Did you bounce a couple times? So you've got to have that awareness within your own body as you go up. How are you, like, how many twists and turns to get down and land in a way that meets the judges' criteria so that you're getting the maximum amount of points because you want to win. You want gold. That's everybody's goal. Is to get a medal, you know, represent their country, to be, represent their family, all of those things. And here she is, she goes up in the air and she gets the twisties, which means she kind of lost that that flow within her body to say, okay, I'm going to plant my feet here. And that's very dangerous because you are up in the air and you're flipping around. And if you come down and you land on your head, I mean, that could be detrimental to your health. That could kill you. I mean, if we're going there. And so she realized that there was so much pressure on her. She said, I'm going to step back. Like, it gives me goosebumps to think about it. I mean, here she is in Tokyo. All these people are there and they've trained for this. And, a lot of times you feed off the energy of the room. But guess what? Nobody's there because of COVID. So there's like very few people watching you. Your family's not there to support you. It can feel very lonely. And so there's so many aspects that are playing into this, not just, oh, she got the twisties. Like, there was more that was going on. And she said, hold on, my mental health is more than my life. How many of us are asking ourselves that question? Is our mental health something that we need to be paying attention to? Is it impacting our life? Do we need to take a pause? And again, I can't tell you what pause means to you. Does it mean taking a different job that's not as stressful? Does it mean not working on the weekends? Does it mean only working 9 to 5? Does it mean taking a week off and actually going on a vacation somewhere? Does it mean getting a coach just to help navigate in the mind? Does it mean going and finding a psychologist or therapist and, talking through something? I don't know what all these things mean in your situation. But we have to put ourselves first. We have to. Because just like Simone, it could be life or death. It could be. Now, that may be a little bit more of a drastic case because of, she's flying in the air. I'm not flying in the air. But our mental health matters. What we do for ourselves every day, and it's how we fuel our body. It's what we listen to. We've been talking about energy all week. And we've been talking about who you surround yourself by, the foods that you're putting in your body, the music that you're listening to, the things that you're doing, all of these things play into it. The energy around you matters. It is impacting up here. Like I said, I love some heavy metal music, but I can't listen to it all day, like all day, every day, because it puts me personally, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but it puts me in this like really amped up state. I'm like, yeah, let's go box. That's how I box. And I can't do it, but I like it in like little small doses. But I know that I can't do it every single day. So Simone, thank you so much for being such an example for all of us. And maybe it's just us old farts that, think mental health and shame and stigma there doesn't need to be. But thank you. Thank you for being you, for standing up and saying, you know what? This is what matters. This is what matters. So we love you for that. We are proud of you. I will say that as an American, we are proud of you in your decisions. And so with that, we're going to wrap up this week because this is it. So, I want you to have a fabulous weekend if you are watching this on Friday, which this is. So go out, have a great weekend, and do something for yourself. Self-care Saturday, self-care Sunday, just self-care weekend itself. And remember that up here matters. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you back here on Monday talking about more powerful topics. All right. Until then, cheers.